Trey, for the first time ever, who is your garbage person of the week?
All right, this week I took a little bit of a different tack. My garbage person of the week is NBA Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, who scandal broke this week from perhaps the best investigative journalist in the sports world, Pablo Torre, who reported that Ballmer basically circumvented the salary cap and used like a shady no-show sponsorship deal in order to pay his star Kawhi Leonard tens of millions of dollars more than is supposed to be allowed by the league rules. And I know this is not a sports show, and a lot of people are listening like, who cares, whatever. But to me, it's a indicative of a much larger problem. I think maybe the biggest problem that we have in this country, which is how much all these super rich people suck and how much they don't care about anything or anyone else ever. So for some more details, essentially, he gave money to this company called Aspiration. Aspiration then hired Kawhi for a sponsorship job, but Kawhi never did literally anything. They like tagged him in a tweet and he didn't even retweet it. It's like he did nothing. God. And they paid him tens of millions of dollars for a sponsorship role. And it was blatantly just so that the Clippers could funnel more money to him through that company. So, they could get around the salary cap, which is of course not very sporting of them. And but it's also like it's lazy and it's obvious, and now that someone has uncovered it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like Ballmer, of course, denies it, says he was conned by these people, which makes no sense to me. That's also insulting. It's like he thinks everyone is stupid, because it's like the only term in Kawhi's contract with this company was that the only way this money would ever go away is if he no longer played for the Clippers. Why would a company who isn't the Clippers put that in his contract in the first place? But that's Ballmer's position. Oh, no, they did this to help the Clippers out because they're just such huge fans or whatever. I didn't even know, right? But so the assumption was clearly that no one would ever care, no one would ever find out. And if they did somehow find out, that nothing would ever come of it. And that may still be true, but this is how all of the ultra-rich operate in this country with everything all the time, which is with complete 100% assumed impunity, right? Yeah. And I'm just sick of that across the board. And if I keep, the longer I'm allowed to rant here, the more likely it gets that I start bringing up, some Luigi type stuff or whatever. So I should probably back off now, because this is a basketball story at the end of the day. But it just pisses me off because every day there's a new story about, the people who hold all the strings and levers of power in this country doing whatever they feel like doing, repercussions be damned, as long as it, benefits them in some way. And this week's example of that, at least in the sports world, is Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. So that's why I picked him as my garbage person of the week.
I think it's great. I think you mentioned this, but he also was an investor in Aspiration, I believe. So he had like an official tie to the company. Yeah. By the way, full transparency, back in the day, Aspiration was a sponsor of I don't know if it was the damage report specifically, but it was TYT anyway. But if they do something wrong, it doesn't matter if they used to be our sponsor or whatever, we're still gonna talk about it. Unless they were to pay me as much as they paid this basketball player, and then I'll never say anything again. But clearly they didn't. And full transparency, I never made $1 individually from Aspiration, to be clear. They were not a sponsor of mine, and the sponsorship money doesn't go to me, it was for the company. But they appear to have done something wrong here, so we're gonna cover it. And it is like, I guess, so presumably the reason you would do this is because there are like salary caps and stuff like that. You can't just pay your players infinite amounts of money, but what if you could funnel money to them through another thing, right?
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, he was a free agent at the time, and like maybe the biggest free agent in the NBA. And there was already reports that like he had asked the Clippers for a bunch of improper stuff that they couldn't do. So I'm not saying Kawhi is innocent in this. There's a lot of stories too about him being like represented by his uncle Dennis, who's like a real shady character. So they try to get all these improper benefits and stuff over the years, and publicly those were all shot down. But the reason you do something like this, you're like, okay, well, how about this? What if I could offer this to you? Here's what we do: we get you a job with this company that pays you another $50 million, and everything looks on the up and up, but really that's coming from us. So that's additional salary on top of whatever your contract is, which of course is against the rule. And that's the only reason that Ballmer might see some repercussions in this instance too, by the way, is because he broke the cardinal rule, which is he pissed off other rich people. The other owners involved in the NBA are probably not going to be happy about this, I would imagine, at least a lot of them, because he's worth more than all of them combined. Like the only reason that they won't like it is because they probably can't afford to do what he did. If they all could, then they'd just all be doing it. And I'm sure at least a couple of them are probably. But it's just, just points to the rot at the core of this country and capitalism and everything, in my opinion.
So much money too, Jesus. Yeah, and I don't know. It makes me feel also like you're hearing about like Eric Adams potentially becoming like an ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Drop out. Yeah. And in the reporting, they're like, Eric Adams will have like window to potential relationships with international figures, like. Oh, so he can get paid by all these rich people around the globe or whatever. And in return, he tries to sway the election so that Cuomo wins rather than Mom dies. This system is so utterly gross. And by the way, the idea that like voting for Trump is voting to get rid of the swamp when he's actively participating in it. But anyway, good garbage person. I like it. And don't worry about the sports news. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a jock now, okay?
All right.
I watch basketball. I play golf or whatever. This is basically a sports show. So anyway,
nice. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you got the look for it. I always thought you were a jock in high school. That's how you always struck me, John.
Sure. I think you probably would have beaten me up in high school, actually. But anyway, is Magic the Gathering a sport? Because then maybe I was a jock in high school.